Hello and welcome to IELTS with Will. Today I'm going to continue our series of videos on how to make good academic IELTS sentences using a grammar that you may already know. So let's go. So in this lesson, we'll choose modal verbs, something that we all know. I'll also use linking words and, of course, passive voice because it's the most essential piece of grammar for your marks. And then at the end of everything, we'll use some combinations where we try to put as much of these together in one sentence. So quickly, we'll remind ourselves of what this grammar is before we start to use it. So what are modal verbs? Well, these are verbs that help express possibility, necessity, ability, advice, even obligation or permission. And they're usually followed by the base form of the verb, but without to. And some common modal verbs that you must already know. Can, which is used often for ability and possibility. For example, governments can reduce pollution. Should, for advice or recommendation. So schools should teach financial literacy. Must, for strong obligation. So employers must provide safety. May, for possibility. So online learning may replace classrooms. Could, for suggestion. So the situation could improve. Might, for weaker possibility. For example, people might disagree. So what is passive voice? That's the next piece of grammar we're going to use. Well, this is something that we've used before, so let's quickly go through it. So passive voice focuses on the action or the result. It does not focus on who is doing it. The structure is simple. We have the subject plus the form of the verb to be plus past participle. Here are some common phrases in IELTS that use passive. So it is believed that laws are enforced by the government. The issue has been addressed in recent years. All right, so these are the grammatical structures we're going to use. First, let's look at improving some vocabulary, and then we'll put the grammar in. So first of all, we have the topic of education. Let's upgrade the vocabulary. So a band 5 may say, schools give students knowledge so they can get good jobs. So in this sentence, which words would you change in order to get a higher mark? Because I can see quite a few. So I would think about get and good, even schools. But let's check it out. So we want to transform this sentence. Schools give students knowledge so they can get good jobs. So first of all, let's change the word schools. What else can we say for schools? Well, we can say educational institutions. So educational institutions give students knowledge so they can get good jobs. So what word would you change next? Let's have a look. I've changed one. Okay, so let's choose another word to change. What one would you choose? Well, I'll choose give. So educational institutions impart knowledge to students so they can get good jobs. All right, so let's look again. How can we improve it further? Let's look at good jobs. That sounds very basic. Educational institutions impart knowledge to students so they can get successful employment. And now let's change the whole thing. Educational institutions impart knowledge to equip students for successful employment. So from the original sentence, we did not want to use very basic words like get or good. Even jobs is a word you would repeat over and over again. And also the word schools, because imagine you're writing on this topic. The temptation is to write schools all the time. So we don't want to do that. So we're thinking of different ways to phrase it with the vocabulary. Okay, so we've gone from schools give students knowledge so they can get good jobs. And we've upgraded to educational institutions impart knowledge to equip students for successful employment. Sounds a lot better. All right, let's upgrade some health sentences. So this one, doing exercise. Now that sounds very informal. Is good, and now good is a very basic word, because is basic, because we can use other words for it. It helps people, again, that sounds basic, stay healthy. All of these words sound very basic. Can we improve any of them to make them sound more formal for a beginning anyway? So here we are. We're going to transform this sentence. So doing exercise is good because it helps people stay healthy. So instead of saying doing exercise, what can we say? Regular physical activity is good because it helps people. Okay, regular physical activity sounds a lot better. Now, what can we improve this word good? Regular physical activity is beneficial because it helps people. Okay, better. Now, regular physical activity is beneficial instead of saying because, since it's a word we can use all the time, too many times. Let's say as instead, as it helps people. And so the last thing we would like to change is this part where it says helps and people. So regular physical activity is beneficial as it promotes long-term health and well-being. Remember, well-being is a good phrase instead of health. So we've moved from doing exercise is good because it helps people stay healthy to regular physical activity is beneficial as it promotes long-term health and well-being. Let's move on to grammar with work. So the grammar, what are we going to use for grammar in this one? Well, let's look at the sentences first. So this one says many people find jobs in big cities. They move there for better work. So obviously there's vocabulary that we could improve, people, big, better work, etc. But we're looking at grammar. And for the grammar, I would suggest we need a linking word because these are two sentences and they're quite short, so they don't flow into a complex sentence. So at some point, we're going to have to use a linking word. You can think about which one. Let's go. So many people find jobs in big cities. They move there for better work. So we don't want to say people. So let's go. What do we say instead of people? We change the word. So many individuals find jobs in big cities. They move there for better work. Okay. So we want to change the word big because anyone can write that word. So many individuals find jobs in major cities. They relocate there for better work. So instead of saying they move there, another quite basic word, not very formal sounding, they relocate there. They change their location to be there. Then we'll change it again. Many individuals find jobs in major cities. They relocate there for what? For better job opportunities. Okay. All these words are better, but we're here to change the grammar in some way, and we suggested that we use a connecting word. So, what kind of connecting word would you use? Now, you could use different ones. I'll just choose one and use it. So let's start with although. That's a good one. That's usually, if I see although and is used correctly, I start to think that's six and above at least. So let's have a look at a sentence with although. Although many individuals relocate to urban areas in search of better employment, job opportunities are often concentrated in major cities. So here we've used the two grammatical structures. Well, first of all, I said I wanted to use a linking word because the sentences were short. So I've chosen although, you may choose another one. And also I wanted to use passive at some point. So here at the end of this particular sentence, I've used passive, are often concentrated in. So we started with many people find jobs in big cities. They move there for better work. And we changed it to although many individuals relocate to urban areas in search of better employment, job opportunities are often concentrated in major cities. Let's have a look at another grammar upgrade. So let's check out advertising. Advertising often comes up in writing and speaking. Let's begin with this. Companies use ads to sell things. There's that word things. We don't want that. People can see them on TV or the internet. So again, they're two short sentences. They're not complex. So we need probably to use something to join these sentences. A joining word, a linking word would be good. Let's see what happens. So we want to transform this. So the first thing we're going to change is we'll change ads to advertisements, and we'll change sell things to increase sales. So companies use advertisements to increase sales. Sounds much better than selling things. Ads to sell things doesn't sound good. Companies use advertisements to increase sales. People can sell things, still saying that, on TV or the internet. Okay, still got that second sentence is loaded with poor vocabulary. Anyway, let's try to change some of the vocabulary and some of the grammar. Advertisements are widely used by companies to increase sales. People can sell things on the TV or internet. So this time, the first sentence has changed, and we've used passive to focus on advertisements. So advertisements are widely used by companies. So we're not so interested in the companies. The topic is advertisements. So advertisements are widely used by companies to increase sales. But we've still got two sentences and we still have these words, people and things. Look at the last option. Advertisements are widely used. We like that by companies to increase sales. Yeah, we liked all of that. And may be encountered on television or online platforms. So this time all we did was use and it's a much better sentence already. No great marks for using and, but the sentence itself is complex and loaded with good grammar and good vocabulary. So we've gone from companies use ads to sell things, people can see them on TV or the internet, and we've finished with advertisements are widely used by companies to increase sales and may be encountered on television or online platforms. That whole sentence sounds much more formal, more complex, and more specific and precise. That's what happens when you use better grammar and vocabulary. All right, combination time. So let's combine as much as we can into the next few sentences on different topics. Let's check out architecture. So band 5 may say old buildings are important and should be protected. So you look at that, that's got should be protected is okay. That's passive. It's got and, but there's a lot of very simple vocabulary. What words would you choose to change in that sentence? And how would you make it more detailed and specific using vocabulary and grammar? So there it is. Let's see what we can do with it. So the first word that jumps out from here to me is important. It's a very basic word. It can be used all the time. And every time I see it, I think, can the student use a better word? There's lots of them. So old buildings are significant. Okay, should be protected. So that's immediately slightly better. We still say old buildings, which sounds, vocabulary doesn't sound great, but okay. Change old buildings to heritage buildings. That sounds a little more specific. It means they're looked after. They're historical buildings looked after. Heritage buildings are significant and should be protected. So it's starting to sound a bit more formal. Heritage buildings are significant and should be preserved. So preserved is a little more specific on the topic of heritage buildings. And it's a good one because you look after it, you protect it, and you maintain it. You keep it good. And last one, we want to use other grammar also, and this time we want to use some linking words. We've got passive already. Let's put in a linking word, make the sentence flow. So due to their cultural and historical significance, heritage buildings should be preserved for whom? For future generations. So it's more formal sounding, but now gets better marks for cohesion and coherence because we're not just saying and, we're using a much more difficult word or linking phrase due to their cultural historical significance. Vocabulary is good. It's got some passive in there as well. Precise meaning compared to the first one. So that's good. So we've gone from old buildings are important and should be protected. And then we've got a much more detailed and formal sentence, and it's complex. So due to their cultural and historical significance, heritage buildings should be preserved for future generations. Sounds much better. Okay, favorite subject, art. So let's start with this one. Many people like art because it looks nice and makes them happy. So this one is loaded with very basic vocabulary for sure. They have tried to extend the sentence with the word because. Let's see what we can do with this. So which words would you change, for example, immediately before thinking of the grammar? All right, so we don't like starting sentences with many people. It's very basic to do this, and it doesn't show strong vocabulary. So instead, let's start with art, because art is what we're talking about. We're not talking about people, we're talking about art. So art is widely appreciated, passive, because it looks nice and makes people happy. So immediately we use passive, it seems more formal and more focused. Because it looks nice and makes people happy, okay, I'll have to change that. Art is widely appreciated because of its aesthetic value and its ability to evoke positive emotions. Okay, aesthetic value means it looks nice, and ability to evoke positive emotions means it probably makes you happy. Okay, much more formal way of saying it, and look at the words, much better. Art is widely appreciated due to its aesthetic value and its ability to evoke positive emotions. So this time, instead of saying because or because of, we've said due to, and that's quite a difficult linking word to use because usually you need a noun or a noun phrase after due to. So it's more difficult. You have to change the grammar. So art is widely appreciated due to its aesthetic value and its ability to evoke positive emotions. However, you could say it a different way using a different joining word. So let's choose a different linking word here. Instead of saying because, we could use a word like despite. So despite its subjective nature, art is widely appreciated for its aesthetic value and its ability to evoke positive emotion. So that's a different way of doing it. Which one is better for you? You look at it, you think, but the last two sentences are very good. So we've gone from many people like art because it looks nice and makes them happy. And we've ended up with, despite its subjective nature, art is widely appreciated for its aesthetic value and its ability to evoke positive emotions. Very formal sounding. Sounds like you're very educated when you say something like that. Okay, let's quickly look at a comparison now between a basic sentence and a more complex formal sentence on different topics. So, for example, here's a simple one. There's too much crime in big cities, and the police need to stop it. So, first of all, think of the vocabulary. Vocabulary, what words would you change, and what words would you replace them with? Well, here we go. So we've replaced the words and we've brought in a joining, a linking word, and passive. Let's see what it looks like. Although crime remains a significant issue in urban areas, it should be addressed through stricter law enforcement and preventative measures. So we have a start. So the first sentence, very simple. We've introduced better words for the second sentence, and we've been using linking words and passive. So we put that into the sentence also, and this second sentence looks much better. Topic of history. We should learn history so we don't make the same mistakes again. Okay, very basic thought as well as a basic sentence. So, what should we change? What words should we change? And we want to put in some grammar that we've been doing today, maybe a joining, linking word, or maybe passive. That's what we've been looking at. So, change the vocabulary and the grammar. What would you do? Here's a better sentence. Historical knowledge must be preserved. Now, we've seen preserved already today. Must be preserved and taught as it enables future generations to avoid repeating past errors. Okay? They don't say mistakes, they say errors. and they use as for a joining or linking word. And we talk about must be preserved and taught. That's modal verb and passive. Must be preserved. Modal verb and passive. Topic of sport. Sport is popular and people enjoy playing and watching it. So a very basic vocabulary, quite a basic sentence, really, but it's got and. How do we improve it? We look at the vocabulary, think of the words you could use, think of the grammar. We've been using today linking words, modal verbs, and passive. Could we use any of these? Could we use all of these? What are we going to use now? So, due to its entertainment value and health benefits, sport is widely practiced and broadcast across the globe. So we have changed vocabulary, made it more precise and formal. This time we used a linking word and passive. The linking word we've been looking at is due to its entertainment value, and the passive is widely practiced. Back to education. Here's a sentence that looks quite good for education, looks quite complex. So here's a complex sentence for education. Although traditional methods are still valued, so and passive, greater emphasis should be placed, passive, on digital literacy to equip students for modern careers. And remember, should is a modal. Just to remind you this time, modal verb should, voice, are still valued, should be placed. Linking word, although vocabulary there is quite good. About public health, due to the rising obesity rates, due to is the linking word, stricter regulations should be enforced by governments to limit the marketing of unhealthy food to children. Nice complex sentence, good vocabulary, and we've used the grammar should, modal verb, passive voice should be enforced, and a linking phrase due to, and that's made a very good sentence combined with the vocabulary. Employment again, while remote work may be preferred by many, it must be supported by adequate infrastructure to ensure long-term productivity. Again, good vocabulary, and the grammar is what we've been looking at today. Modal verbs, we've got a may and a must this time. Passive voice, we've got may be preferred, may be supported. The linking word this time is while, and we've got some nice specific vocabulary. Therefore, that's the use of three grammatical structures or three types of grammar, plus more formal specific vocabulary today. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe below, and I'll see you next time.